The new iPhone 17 lineup is here. And if you've been watching the tech reviews out there, you've probably heard about all of the confusion. It is a strange lineup, isn't it? Why would Apple give the iPhone 17 more cameras than the iPhone Air, but then give it a worse chip? It feels like a mistake. On top of that, the iPhone 17 Pro has a way better battery life than that of the Air. But if you add a power bank to the iPhone Air to make it comparable, the price of the iPhone Air becomes almost the same as that of the iPhone 17 Pro. Now, doesn't that seem like a bad pricing strategy? Well, as a product manager, let me tell you, it is a brilliant pricing strategy. The question is, why? To understand this trick, we need to ask ourselves a critical question. As consumers, when did we start thinking about feature-to-price ratios? We've been trained to expect rational choices, but Apple is weaponizing that exact expectation against us. This strategy relies on something that manipulates your sense of value, and it's been proven to work for decades. Let me show you how this works with a very simple example. To crack this case, we have to look at a classic puzzle that has nothing to do with technology. Imagine you go to the cinema and you want to get yourself a little snack of popcorn, and you have two options. One's for $4 with a small bucket of popcorn, and then the larger option for $9 with a big bucket of popcorn. If you just wanted a little snack, perhaps your rationale in that moment is gonna kick in and think, this popcorn is actually pretty expensive, so might as well get myself the small one and just have a little snack. However, what would happen if we introduce a middle option, which is just slightly cheaper than the large popcorn, but has way less quantity? In that moment, your brain isn't thinking about how expensive the popcorn is compared to what it would cost to make it at home. It is just thinking, the middle bucket is just 50 cents cheaper than the large bucket, but it has way less popcorn. So it would be stupid to get the middle option instead of the large one. In just a second, you've forgotten all about the small bucket of popcorn. It makes no logical sense, but that's the magic of this trick. The large suddenly becomes like the obvious best deal. This brilliant trick has a name, and it was famously proven by a behavioral economist, Dan Ariely. I've mentioned him before in this channel. He showed that by adding an option that made logically no sense, people were more guided towards the more expensive option. So this isn't just a theory, it's a proven psychological phenomenon. And this is where it gets interesting, because 50 years ago, consumers weren't using such an analytical decision-making process for their purchases. They were buying based on two different aspects: trust in whoever was selling the product, or shopping by habit. Meaning, what did I get last time? Was it okay? Yeah, sure. Then let's repeat that purchase. They weren't calculating feature-to-price ratios. That wasn't a thing. The choice was either, can I afford it? Or, is it reliable? But today, we are hyper-analytical consumers. We've been taught to expect a rational value. So we actively search for that best value, or the most optimized purchase. And that, ironically, is why this trick works so well. The Decoy Effect is a modern strategy that weaponizes your expectation of logic. Apple gives you three options, but one is so illogically priced that it short-circuits your sophisticated and analytical brain. It forces you away from the rational thought and brings you into an emotional chase for the best value. Now, let's go back to the iPhone 17 lineup and see if you can spot the pattern. We have the iPhone 17, the iPhone Air, and the iPhone 17 Pro. The iPhone 17 is kind of the confusing option. It has more cameras than the Air, but then it has a worse chip. It's priced below the iPhone Air, but the features are so confusing that your brain immediately discards it just to stop making the mental effort. It's not a good enough deal to justify the lack of features. However, it does its job by making the two other options seem like the reasonable choice. This makes the iPhone Air the decoy. It's a beautifully designed phone, but here's where the trap is set. Due to this reduction in the thickness of the phone, the battery life of the iPhone Air is much lower than that of the iPhone 17 Pro. And for a power user, that's basically a no-no. So what do? they get the power bank to add to the Air. But the moment you add that power bank to the cost of the iPhone Air, the whole price almost matches that of the iPhone 17 Pro by a difference of $1. Suddenly, the Air looks like a terrible deal. That's why many tech reviewers are saying that this phone is going to be a hard sell. And this is where the iPhone 17 Pro becomes the obvious choice. The iPhone 17 Pro has a bigger, longer-lasting built-in battery, which is gonna come in handy when you start using all of those AI new functionalities, right? It has the better camera system, it has the better chip, and when you compare it with the iPhone Air's price once you add that power bank, it kind of seems like the best deal available, like the best long-term option. The iPhone Air has done its job by making the iPhone 17 Pro seem like the best value available just by its existence. So the mystery is solved. The iPhone 17 and the iPhone Air aren't just mistakes. They are part of a product strategy. The iPhone 17's confusing features make it an automatic discard, turning the iPhone Air into the decoy. The goal is to make the iPhone 17 Pro look like the only good option. As a product manager, let me tell you, this isn't just a pricing trick. This is a textbook example of how to use a product lineup into guiding customer behavior. A good product strategy isn't about having just one single product that has it all and that is priced at the ideal pricing point. It's about how you position them all to influence a user's decision-making process. The goal is to make a specific choice seem like the only logical one. So what can you do with all of this new acquired knowledge? Well, you can use a 3-step framework to help you avoid these manipulation techniques. First of all, define what is it that you need, not what the options are. So make yourself a list of what is it that you need exactly in that particular product. Also, write down what your budget is. Don't let yourself be guided by what's available on the market. Second, mentally remove the decoy. After watching this video, it should be easier for you to identify the decoy in different product setups. So remove the decoy from your mental thought process and start comparing the other two options. Third, compare it based on your own value. That's the most expensive option. Leverage some kind of value that explains the jump in price that it has compared to the other product. Don't let a clever pricing strategy dictate your choices. What do you think? Did you shop for an iPhone yet? Are you planning to do so? If you already bought it, what is it that made you decide for a particular item? And if you're planning to do so, what is your decision criteria? Put it down in the comments. If you enjoyed this content on technology, strategy, and psychology, feel free to give it a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel. Thanks a lot and have a great day.